There we go.
Perfect. Well, hello, everyone. We're fortunate to have St. Nick's today. We have the benefit of not having large groups and people come and go as they wish. So we can introduce ourselves just so people who know who's on the call, and then we'll get the program started in just a second. So Steve, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Steve Fenton. I work with Mike at HMTRI, and it's a pleasure to see all of you today.
And I'm Mike Senyu, facilitating the program, the PL Professional Learning Community for HMTRI. Nolan?
I'm Nolan Curtis. I work with Steve and Mike, also with HMTRI. And we're here to provide you assistance, technical and otherwise, in your brownfield job training grants and programs. So again, we appreciate all of you being here, and we certainly appreciate all the work you do.
Yeah, we just want to get everyone talking to each other. We found that the best way to provide tech assistance is just get everyone in a room and just start talking and see if someone's got some ideas you haven't tried, and that might help you. So John, our presenter for today.
Hi, everyone. I was actually trying to get my headset to work, but technology does not answer to us. We answer to it. So that did not actually work, but I work with St. Nick's Alliance. I'm the Deputy Director of Skills Training. Joining me today is Bina Martinez. I'll let her actually just introduce herself. We work with 18 to 24-year-olds and also 18 and above, providing workforce readiness, job readiness, trainings, and internships.
Fantastic. Jake.
Hey, Michael. Hey, everyone. Jacob Markowski. I'm the program manager for the Arberly Employment Institute in McKeesport, PA, Region 3.
Mr. iPhone. That's what I've got on my screen. We know. Want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, it's the Wi-Fi here is weird, but anyway, I'm John Galiotos. I'm the Region 6 PI for Brownfields project in the area of Shreveport, Northwest Louisiana, here at Southern University, Shreveport.
Oh, geez. Southern University, fantastic. You're getting that. You're probably getting some pretty nice weather too. It was good seeing you at Brownfield.
75, 78.
Sweet, sweet. Joan.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joan Staunton. I'm the pre-apprenticeship program director for New York City Carpenters.
Fantastic. Okay, great.
Awesome.
Dina.
Can you hear me first? Good afternoon, can you hear me?
Hi, Bina, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Bina Martinez. I'm the job developer with John here at St. Nick's Alliance, and I work with the construction and environmental remediation team.
Thank you. Hey, Pamela, how are you? We need to turn your mic on.
Hi, my name is Pam Caronchio. I'm development strategist with the Energy Coordinating Agency in Philadelphia.
Karen.
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Govan. I'm the Director of Workforce Development in Southwest Economic Solutions located in Detroit, Michigan, and we have a great job training program.
Great. And then we're going to have the next Brownfields in Detroit next August 8th. So that'll be great. Mac.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mac Alabed, Senior Manager for Workforce at Southwest Economic Solutions in Detroit as well.
Okay. Cindy from Coalfields. Oh, we need you to turn your mic. There we go.
There we are. I'm Cindy Manning. I'm the Program and Grants Manager at Coalfield Development in West Virginia.
Fantastic. A new grantee that we love, one of our favorites, coal country. Diana.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Diana Napier with the Workplace in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Great. Diana is going to be presenting in the next one. So we're looking forward to talking to her about the work they're doing up there. Amy, all the way from Alaska.
Hello, my name is Amy Penny, and I am with the Alaska Forum. We do a workforce development training program and apprenticeship program, and kind of primarily focus on training rural Alaska.
Michael Long.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Michael Long, Senior Coordinator of Equal Opportunity and Planning in Kansas City, Missouri with the Full Employment Council. We are a grantee and looking forward to continue receiving the grant.
Fantastic, fantastic. Kenzie.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kenzie Delane. I'm with the Butler Harris Foundation here in Hartsville, South Carolina. We are have a cleanup project underway, but I have some interesting job training program grants.
Fantastic. Well, we want to get you involved in the EPA BJT Brownfield Job Training Program. Great, welcome. Jose.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I'm in transit right now, but I'm an environmental attorney with Cypress Shaw, and I'm on the workforce development team and advisory board for the Green Economy Fund in New York.
Fantastic. Be careful. Be careful. Laura.
Hi, everyone. My name is Laura Miller. I am a program analyst for the DC Department of Energy and Environment's Green Economy branch. So I oversee a lot of the workforce programs and yeah.
Hey, Marcia. Marcia.
Hi, I'm Marcia Lay. I am a new Brownfields project manager for EPA. So I was calling in as a new to this meeting caller.
Great. And what particular region?
Region 6.
Oh, great. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
We're always welcoming EPA people.
Great.
This is our workforce group. We meet every 2 weeks on a casual basis to see what's going on, kind of network amongst ourselves. Right now, we're going to be doing different grantees and seeing what their experiences have been. And we'll talk about some critical issues along the way.
That sounds amazing.
Okay, and Rachel, happy to see you here today.
Oh no, I'm here.
That's good. That's good. And Cleo? You're gonna get Cleo on? Cleo Johnson?
Hello.
There we go. Where are you from? Where
Houston,
are you from?
Houston, Texas.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Well, we like to do this. It shows the diversity of our group and what we're doing. As I said, we meet. Who did I meet? Did I forget someone? Deborah? Trevor?
Oh, hi, Michael. I just popped on. So.
Okay. Well, for that, you're going to have to tell us where you're from.
Hi, my name's Deborah Trevorrow. I'm from the city of Tacoma.
There
And
you go.
I'll get picked on when I'm here.
There we go.
Thank
Okay. We like City of Tacoma. They were a grantee for quite a while and fantastic program. So anyone else we missed? Okay. Well, we're here to not only get together, as I said, the best part of networking is finding out what other people are doing and finding out what their problems are and what their solutions were. And we do this informally every couple of weeks. So Steve will be talking about what we're going to be doing in this 12th of October, which will have a whole lot more people. We'll have all the grantees together. And then, of course, eventually we're going to have a face-to-face, which will be in May 15th, which Steve will talk about too, where we're all going to have a chance to get to Washington. EPA picks up the housing and meeting expenses, so we'll just have to figure out how to get to Alexandria on March 15th through the 19th, and we'll be talking about that later. So in these sessions, as I said, we talk about what grantees are doing. As we get closer to the next RFA, which will be about the same time as the last one, the next one will be coming up FY24, probably about the same time as this year, which was around June 1st. They'll be announcing another round of grants, which is great for those of you who are just starting a grant or wanting to start a job training program. And we do these all year round because it takes a long time to develop one of these grants, mostly on the front end. Those of you who have grants and have experience know you have to establish partnerships, and you have to get into the mayor's office, and you have to get their concurrence, and that can take several months. And developing these partnerships to receive one of these awards, you pretty much have to lay out your whole program of what you're going to do, and they only give you 60 days. So by the time they announce it, you'll pretty much have to have your program pretty much in your mind, what you're going to do, have your advisors lined up and your partners lined up so you could write a acceptable grant that will get funded. So, but that's all going to be coming up in the next year. So between now and then, we're going to be working on how we could make our programs that are existing better, find out what other people are doing. So we always start these off with what's happening in Washington and any news from either our organization or from one of the other organizations that impact job training grantees. So Steve, you want to give us a rundown? What's happening?
Sure. Thanks, Mike, and good to see everyone. I know I saw some of you at the Brownfield National Conference. So it looks like we'll be maybe seeing some of you again next year. And I'm going to lead off with that, the National Brownfields Conference, which just ended actually in Oklahoma City. There's going to be another one now in August 8th through 11th in Detroit, Michigan, where Karen and Mac are from. So I know we'll see them again. Look forward to it. And this is for some of you who've been tracking this for a long time, you'll know that generally EPA holds these, or not EPA, the I guess ICMA, they hold these conferences about every year and a half. And we asked about this one because it's like 1 year after the last one they just held, and they said they're basically making up for not having one in 2020 and 2021. So after this one, there won't be another one until sometime in 2025. So this one in Oklahoma City went really well. It's a pleasure to see all of you and meet some of you for the first time, and we're looking forward to the next one. So put that date on your calendar, August 8th through 11th, 2023. Also, just kind of a heads up, there's going to be, while the Brownfield Job Training Grant applications were closed last night, there's a series of new grant applications that are funded primarily out of the bipartisan infrastructure law, and they're anticipated to come out in the fall. And some of those include multi-purpose grants, assessment grants, revolving loan fund grant programs, cleanup grants, Section 128A, which is for the state and tribal response programs, and also technical assistance to brownfield communities grants. So those announcements should be coming out in the fall. We'll have more information on them as we get it, but just kind of a heads up. And this will be in your notes also that we send out this week. Also, as Mike alluded to, the next activity coming up for us is October 12th. That's the mid-year professional development refresher workshop. Registrations are going out kind of as we speak. So, please consider registering for that. We look forward to seeing you there. It's going to be from 12 to 4:30 Eastern time. And it'll be via the Zoom platform. So it'll be a virtual meeting. The refresher will focus on the most relevant topics that are important to Brownfield's job training grantees at this point in the grant cycle, including establishing a presence in the local target community, participant recruitment, assessment, retention, etc. So we're also going to be having videos, and I would like to solicit those right now. Any of you that have videos you'd like to share with us for that meeting, please consider sending those to, you can send them to me or Mike or Nolan, either of us. But we're starting to collect those now. We like to show those at the end of this meeting. And it's one of the activities that we do that people really like. And I know the EPA folks really like to see what you're doing. So this is an opportunity to showcase not only what you're doing to EPA, but also to your colleagues and other grantees. So consider registering, for the workshop. And again, if you want to volunteer to be a recorder, let me know. Karen, Jake. No, you guys are great. You guys were fantastic. Pam. So all of you that have done it, we really appreciate it. But anybody who would like to do it, please let us know. There will be a link. You should have already gotten a link to the registration. If not, you'll be getting one again. And there's also going to be a link in the notes that go out with this, plus a tentative agenda. We may tweak it a little bit, but this is generally what we're going to cover. Also, as Mike alluded to, there's going to be an all grantee meeting. The tentative date, actually, Mike, did you say March? It's actually May 15th through the 19th. So please note that. That's going to be in Alexandria, Virginia, and it provides an opportunity for an in-person platform to continue conversations on critical issues and best practices among successful brownfield job training programs. The workshop is facilitated by HMTRI with participation from grant recipients, EPA staff, and outside experts. As in the past, the meeting will include complimentary registration and housing, travel, meals, incidentals, and costs are not included. So, hopefully you're going to be able to join us. So take a look at your budget and put those dates aside. Again, May 15th through 19th, 2023. Also, you've heard us mention over the last several PLCs, the HMTRI grant recipient directory. That's the information that we have about your programs that we market to employers and others interested in your program. And actually at Brownfields 2022 here in Oklahoma City, we had a lot of people take the business card we had with the Q code that went to this directory, and we had a lot of interest in that. So we'd like to encourage you again to take a look at what we have for your organization, because we want to make sure we have the right person, the right name, the correct spelling, the correct phone number, contact information, and description of your program. Again, we had a lot of people asking for information like that, and a lot of employers too. So, and we're going to be updating it on a regular kind of rotating basis. So there'll be a link in the notes, so you can take a look at that and see whether or not the information we have for your program is accurate. Okay, then we've had a couple of questions come up from participants. I'll just read the question and, a possible, response to that. One question we had was, can you remind me again when FY23 Brownfield Job Training Grant Awards will be announced? We can expect an announcement in the first quarter of 2023. That means probably from sometime between January and March, which is why our face-to-face meeting is going to be in May. We wanted to give ample time for the announcements to happen, and hopefully some of those new awardees can join us. Keep in mind that the announcements are for organizations recommended for funding. Final awards are contingent on the acceptance of the terms and conditions by both parties and finalization of the work plans, etc. Speaking of which, another question was, what are the terms and conditions? Basically, it's the recipients and any sub-recipient of EPA grants must agree and comply with EPA's general terms and conditions on the EPA website. And we'll include a link to those terms and conditions in the notes. But basically the terms and conditions are in addition to the assurances and certifications made as part of the award and terms and conditions and restrictions reflected on the official assistance award document. Recipients must review their official award document for additional administrative and programmatic requirements. And please make sure you do that, because sometimes you can be, in non-compliance, and, there could be a enforcement action or something if you're not, in compliance with the terms and conditions. So it's important to read those, understand them. And then if you have questions about them, make sure you contact your EPA coordinator. Okay, then lastly, another question that came in was, we are in the early recruitment stage of our grant cycle, with the first cohort beginning this winter. Can you lead me to some examples of recruitment awareness materials we can use as guidance in developing our own materials? So, good question. It's an organization that hasn't developed, a lot of flyers and brochures, and they would like ideas or examples of some. And so we've provided some ideas, and actually we've provided a link to, I'm going to show you one that this is from Zender Environmental Health Group, actually up in Alaska. This is an example of a flyer that they put together. You can see it's current, up to date. They're looking for people to participate in their program, and they have the courses, experience gained. They even emphasize college credit, placement eligibility, etc. So, just an example. We have a link to this flyer in the notes, and we actually have a link to where you can find all of the different types of social media and flyers available from other organizations that are part of our network. So please keep that in mind. And with that, Mike, I think that's about all I have. So I'd like to turn it back over to you and let you.
Okay. Well, and Nolan will be talking about this whole area a little later, depending on our time. But it is important that that first class you recruit is going to determine the success of your entire program. So we're going to be spending this all the way through the refresher, all about recruiting the best class you could possibly request, and how you can do that, and strategies. And we'll be learning from each other on what we found is the best way to get the best students into your program. A word back on recommended awards that'll come out in January to March, somewhere probably February is be a sweet spot when they're going to announce awards. These are programs that they've announced, about 25 or so, that will be recommended for funding. You have to go through the spring and summer in agreeing to terms of agreements. You have to work through your work plan with EPA. They're going to sit down with you and have the grant package sent to you, and you have to approve their terms of conditions, what they expect from you, and you have to work with them the final details. And then usually by the end of the summer, depending on how quickly the grants administration processes your grant, usually by the summertime, it has to be out the door by September 31st. So you'll get your checkbook, basically the ability to draw funds before the end of the federal fiscal, which is September 31st. So when you're planning your program for next year, those of you who applied for the latest five-year grant, you can kind of work on a schedule of you'll get the announcements in the first quarter, and then you'll be able to start your cohorts probably in the fall of next year, and that's and between those times it'll allow you the chance to tighten up your program and tweak it. So we'll go from there. Today we have the privilege of having St. Nick's tell us about their program. St. Nick's is one of our senior programs. They've been with us, us meaning the Brownfield Job Training Program, since 2002. It hasn't always been a straight line, and this is always good to know for a lot of grantees who may not get their grant accepted. They had a dry period between 2009 and 2014. If you remember that time, there was a recession. There was a lot of competition for jobs. They were having a really difficult time placing people, and they kind of dropped out of the BJT program for between 2009 and 2014. They came back, and they were able to sustain themselves, keep their teams together, keep their programs together, partially because of the organization they are, and being able to stay into workforce, and they've come back, and a very successful program. Obviously has the chops to get re-upped pretty much once they got going again. They've been refunded in these competitive environment for several years. So we're going to have John talk to us about his program and what they're doing. For those of you who aren't familiar, and he'll talk to you about his community, but it's a tough area. They have about every transfer station, waste site, Superfund site that you could imagine. And they're dealing with that, and they're doing a fantastic job. So with that, I'm going to turn over to you, John.
Thanks a lot, Michael. I appreciate the introduction. So I've worked with St. Nick's for roughly since March. So I'm, in regards to the full history of the organization, I'm going to be fairly brief, but St. Nick's has been around since 1975, and the different focuses that the org has as a whole would be workforce, which is the department that I work for, and one of my team members still may be on the call unless she was pulled away to support participants. Bina Martinez works in workforce as well. We also do elder care. We do youth and education, and we also do affordable housing. So in workforce, the team that I specifically work for, we focus in 3 different areas: construction, healthcare, and technology. And today I'm specifically talking about construction, environmental remediation. So we have offered it for the community that we work with tend to be disconnected. They are underemployed or unemployed. And in North Brooklyn, that can look many different ways, but the majority of individuals who we draw to our program tend to be male, and they tend to be also Black and brown. We have on staff case managers, and we also have job developers, because the thought is that if we do have individuals that can assist in terms of assessments, lowering barriers that individuals might have when they come into our program, kind of being able to assess what things can develop based on precedents and address them, we would be able to have them walk through our program seamlessly, and the job developers on the tail end are able to create placement for our participants, so that once they gain their credentials, they can get jobs. And specifically in environmental remediation technology, we work with our training partner, Big Apple. And Big Apple, the participants will get actually quite a bit of different certifications. They get their OSHA 30, they get their FireGuard F60, scaffolding, flagger, they get a certificate of completion, they get their site and safety training as well. And all of this in order for them to more competitively gain employment that's sustainable. And we kind of define sustainable as employment that's above New York City's minimum wage, which is $15 per hour. So we want to really make sure that our participants can be placed in areas that they can uplift themselves, their families, and ultimately their community. The training intentionally does, and I feel like I can go on, so I'll stop at different points so anyone can ask questions about like anything they have, especially for those who are newly awarded funds. We have 2 weeks of job readiness, and during those 2 weeks, what we tend to do is if we kind of are looking for a bigger group, we will still run intake. So it's possible that after like the first week, we're still actually performing intake for the individuals. So then we kind of make sure that they have homework and that they can catch up. And after the 2 weeks, we do have them go to the different training sites. Staff members do attend daily. And the reason why is we've established a relationship with them at St. Nick's at first, and it is St. Nick's programs. We kind of make sure not to differentiate with that. We know that they start with us and then they go to Big Apple, but the entire thing is packaged as St. Nick's training. The reason being they know St. Nick's, and we want to make sure that they put their best foot forward and they are as professional as we know that they can be when they're working with our training partners. So 2 weeks with us, full-time training, they have a resume, they understand teamwork, leadership, and communication. They know email style. We make sure that they have workers' right, financial literacy. And then when they're at our training partners, they're actually getting the credentials. Staff members visit every day, and that's to add an additional level of accountability. It's also to ensure that our participants kind of see familiar faces. And in the cases that there are kind of follow-up items, we want to make sure that we could ask them when our participants are with our training providers. We also have graduations for them, where we kind of get them together. They're presented with their certificates. And we also have different alumni events. The alumni events are just to kind of continue with a community setting and to ensure that they're networking, that they keep us informed, because we will continually assist in job development and job placement. And having alumni events sometimes allow those who are a little bit shyer to come forward, and we have guest speakers. We have we try and make sure that we have hiring managers attend alumni events and graduation, so that there's an extra gain for participants when they're coming back. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. And so it was mentioned screening and recruiting and making sure that you have kind of the best participants, especially for those who are starting. For the assessment period, we do have the entire staff meet with participants. The reason being, one person may miss something that another more seasoned staff member can catch, and this kind of ensures that every staff member is they've met the individual. They see what the triumphs and struggles the person has from the onset, and they can address it moving forward. We kind of make sure that we try and minimize or figure out what barriers they have if they can't attend the program 9 to 5, if they have additional support, because for quite a bit of the program, they will not be, they can't have full-time employment. And they can't have full-time employment because this training program will take their entire day. So we kind of want to make sure that while they're training, nothing can kind of pull them away. And one of the realities are some individuals say that in like the third or fourth week that they do have employment issues. So we try and navigate as best possible to make sure that any individual that comes in, they have family or friends, or they have alternative sources of income for the duration of the program. And then our job developer fairly quickly tries to ensure that they are placed upon completion. I don't think there's a surefire way to ensure that at the beginning that everyone comes to you with their full honesty, but just having as many seasoned staff members there, asking questions, being very transparent on the timeline, and the commitment that it takes to start job readiness and to then enter for 4 to 6 weeks of training, and kind of seeing the reaction and asking multiple times if this is something that a participant can take part in, and then giving them the floor to actually speak about what could possibly bring them away from the training. It helps in choosing the best class for that specific training. We have quite a bit of partners because St. Nick's has been around since 1975 that have hired our participants in the past. So some places that we've worked in, and forgive me, I don't know all of the acronyms, but I can always like drop them in the chat, or maybe Bina, you can assist because Bina's as a job developer, she knows them. But some places that have accepted our participants and given them jobs post certification, and these are New York, most of these are New York City, New York State-based places, would be New York City Parks, the City of New York Parks and Recreation Department, Aerotech, ACV, ROI, and the Department of Environmental Protection. These are just some areas that have accepted participants once they have their certification. Yeah, that's a bit about St. Nick's. Sorry. Yes, ROI's Resource Options Incorporated. Thank you, Bina. But yeah, I wanted to, this is the first time that I've joined this Zoom chat. I'm filling in for Larry, who is my supervisor, but so I'm not sure of the format, but if there's a space for questions, I'm happy to answer because I kind of just, I did have, thank you, Michael, for providing a kind of format. So I was answering based on what was given, but at some point I might have kept on talking. So if anyone has any questions, please.
Well, we've got lots of questions, John. I'd like to start out by you mentioned Big Apple. Now they're your training provider. Are
Yes.
they someone? Are they a partner or a sub-grantee or someone who I'm visualizing your program. It's pretty neat because you bring them in and you're kind of indoctrinating them. You're giving them life skills. I really like this idea, which I hadn't heard about, is a worker rights program, informing them worker rights plus all the other life skills we talk about in casework. And that's operating out of St. Nick's. And then at some point you release them to Big Apple. Is that?
Yeah, so Big Apple is a subcontractor. So we've worked with them in the past. So we send them to this site and then they receive training, which is why our staff visit daily to ensure that like everything, like the visit is for the participants' sake to ensure that they're attending, but it's also to like make sure that there's a familiar face and to hold the trainers accountable as well. We want to just make sure that everything's on the up and up.
And that's going from like 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, and you're doing HAZWOPER, OSHA 10, OSHA 30. Are you doing a lead and asbestos, or do you know?
Yes. Yeah, I think Bina just said yes.
I had read once that instead of that, there is a possibility of hazardous materials Class B license. Is that are you doing that, or they can do that?
Yes, so for construction labor, there's HAZWOPER, asbestos, confined space, 30-hour OSHA. I'm reading this, of course, from my computer screen as I'm speaking to you all. Fire guard, site and safety training, flagger, and they also get a certificate of completion from the training provider.
Fantastic. Are you drug tested before to get in, or during, or before graduation?
No, we do not drug test.
Only the employer does it.
Sorry, Bina?
If they get hired, the employer does it.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, good to know. See, we're finding everyone does something different.
Yeah, we do ask. So what we do at St. Nick's is, since the pandemic, we were remote for a time, but then we fairly quickly went back to in-person. What we found, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other nonprofit or spaces find this, participants struggle when it comes to trust in really vaccinations, but we wouldn't be setting them up for success if we didn't share with them the fact that employers will need them to be vaccinated. The majority of employers need them to be vaccinated. So one of the things we've done is everyone that every participant we work with, they have to be vaccinated.
Yes. Anyone have additional questions for John?
Yeah, if anyone has any questions in regards to the assessment process, recruitment, the job readiness component, you mentioned, Michael, that it's kind of interesting how we run that. Part of it also is we have kind of a tech lesson, because we found that so we have a tech literacy program manager. He's not actually necessarily a part of this program, but we found it necessary in preparing participants for more successfully for the future, for engaging with hiring managers and employers, that they should have some exposure to tech. So he does very basic introductions to, for instance, utilizing LinkedIn, sending an email and like hitting the reply all versus just the reply, having a professional email, writing a cover letter, doing a job search online. We work with Bank of America, and we work with also other local banks. So they come in and they do a financial literacy lesson. And then we do the traditional job readiness, which is cover letter writing, resume writing, being a team player, managing up, managing sideways, managing down.
You're kind of the model of full service social services, and like Auberly or many others that now do you intake ex-offenders, returning citizens, or where are your applicants coming from?
So they're coming from all over, and we do take returning citizens. What we try and do is to ensure that they know their rights. So one of the things is they can't be discriminated against based on the fact that they're returning citizens. However, the hiring managers, I feel like, dependent on where you're going, they don't necessarily realize that it is a right to not be discriminated against because you're a returning citizen. So we do try and ensure that our participants understand that that's not something that they have to disclose, and that being asked that before they're given the job is actually against the law, at least in New York State. Yeah.
Fantastic. Are you having trouble placing graduates now, or finding participants? Let's look at both ends. Are you having trouble recruiting? Are you having trouble? And I know we're between cycles, but
yeah. So I think recruitment is always a challenge, because we have a staff that kind of have different connections into the community across St. Nick's. Recruitment is not such an issue. But we could always use, like, this is why Bina is on the call, because she kind of wanted to hear and see who's available, who's here, and who kind of which companies or agencies were represented. We could always use more placement slots. We do have our set places that have hired historically and continue to hire, but I don't think we would never turn down an opportunity to establish a new employment site that guarantees once they see the certifications, once they see the training, they will take our participants. So that's always something we're looking to improve.
Jonathan, I just wanted to mention.
Marcia has a question.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention in the chat, John, someone mentioned that they would like to visit you. So
yes,
make sure
thanks, Stephen.
Okay.
Yeah, Stephen, I think we were at the same time we looked because I was about to say, hey, Cleo. Yes, so Cleo, you could Michael and Stephen and Nolan, I actually don't know I think that there is a consistent email that goes through, and I actually think I am on it. So I can drop my, Cleo, what I will do is, yes, Jose, you just asked, I'm going to drop my email in the chat. So if you want to visit, if you have questions, you can always reach out. Mike and Stephen and Nolan, I think that's okay. I don't know if you have kind of a
Oh, yes.
format that you.
We will, in the notes, we'll
Okay.
put your contact, and we always ask every presenter if it's okay if people could call you or email you and work with you. We have the approach with this program of trying to help each other. So we request that from you. Sounds like, yeah.
I'm definitely open to either phone call or email. I tend to, like, everything is linked to my personal phone and my watch. So emails are better because I'll always get notifications. So I'll drop my email, and Bina, if you're okay with it, I'll drop your email as well as the job developer.
Yeah.
Or if you'd like to, Bina, you can drop your email.
I'll do it.
Did Marcia have a question?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw your hand up. Jose, did you have a question?
No, I'm good. Thank you for the opportunity. I'll probably follow up with John via email. Thank you.
Yeah, anyone has. That's the thing. Any questions, go to John, and I expect he'll be at our refresher on the 12th, and we'll have a chance to chat with him and on a more personal basis, and hopefully next spring in May we'll be able to go face to face with that. Well, if someone has questions, they can bring it up, but we're focusing on this whole idea of awareness and recruitment, and John gave us a peek into what they do and how they find applicants and how they screen them. I'd like to have Nolan talk about the whole idea of how do you approach the community. Here you are, particularly if you're a new grantee, you've got no grantees, you may be new to the program, you may not be totally aware of how this program works, and all of a sudden you need a cohort. And what we find is those grantees who struggle or fail are almost always directly linked to their recruiting. They usually need to fill up their cohort. They're short. They've already scheduled a cohort. They haven't done a sufficient amount of marketing, and people are walking in the door and they're taking them. That's a bad idea because it haunts them for the entire program. That is the beginning of a chain of events that ruins their program. You end up with people who are not motivated. You might get lucky, but you're going to find people who are not motivated, people who end up dropping out because it wasn't what they thought it was. It was too easy to get into the program, or they decided once they got in the program, this is what they don't want to do. And so the big question is how do you tailor? And you're better off not having a cohort than to have a bad cohort, because your retention rates drop, your placement rates are poor. The people that are placed don't stay in their jobs. So I would say the most important part of this entire program is where we're at now, is recruitment and assessment and picking the best team you can. It sounds a little callous, or people might say you're picking low-hanging fruit. We have to remember, we've got 20 slots. We're rationing slots. We've got to find people who are capable. They're all going to be trustworthy and ready and deserving, but we also have to be able to place them. And we have to keep that in mind. And the reason we have to keep it in mind is if someone comes in and drops out, they've deprived someone who is also worthy and maybe more motivated and could do a better job, who will be deprived of this opportunity. So you have to look at it in the light of we have to pick the best of the best that we could find assuming that they're all deserving. We're not even talking about deciding whether they're deserving or not. They're all going to be, of the people you're going to be screening, are going to be deserving. But you've got to find the best people who could succeed in the program, be motivated, and most importantly, be placed. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Nolan and talk about this whole process of recruitment.
Good afternoon. We're going to touch on this more than once, but essentially, you know, echoing what Mike said, whether you're a new program or a successful existing program, that first line at the end of the day, the success of your program depends on the success of your graduates, is absolutely there. If your graduates are successful, then they gain the trust of the employers. They will come back and hire more people out of your program. They tell their family and friends that it's successful. But when it's not successful, you break trust, and it's very hard to regain that. So there is a cost up front, especially if you're a new program. Sometimes you don't have as many people in the cohort as you thought you would or you promised you would, but it's better to have a strong set of cohorts and grow it than it is to just try to fill seats and end up with the result of that. So it really, we look at our programs and we try to polish our programs and make them the best programs ever, and they are, but you need to really look at your end result, your customer and your clients. And so as a result of the programming, the people in it have to become qualified, trustworthy, and reliable workers. That's how you ensure that your employers will come back to you and be willing to accept more graduates into employment. They must meet or exceed the expectations of the employer. So you have to really be in touch with the employer and find out what are their concerns, what are their needs, what are their expectations, and make sure you're at least meeting all of those expectations, if not exceeding them. And finally, for the person in the program, they must achieve personal life-changing results because that ultimately turns them into an evangelist. If what they get from your program is, quote, just another job, unquote, then that's good, but it's not going to bring the kinds of results where suddenly they, have transportation or they can pay rent, or they are stable enough now to have child visitation, or it changes their life. And so really the results of the program need to go beyond job placement, which is huge, but it really has to be something where ultimately it's a personal benefit and, in a sense, a life-changing benefit for that employee. And the bottom line to that is work on your programs, work on your trainers and your equipment and all of those things, but build it and they will come is not a successful brownfield job training recruitment strategy. So you have to do more than just build a training program. You have to really understand and get to know your customers. Next slide, please. Okay, so these are 4 areas, and there'll be more details in the notes, but you can take notes if you want. But the first question we have is that most of you, all of you need to realize, and you do, that you're in sales. And so you're always selling something. And so the question is, before you can sell it, before you can do that flyer, that ad, or that speech, what are you selling? And you really need to think about this because there's not a right answer, but there's wrong answers, and there's answers that are better than others. So right now, I'll ask all of you, just jot down, what are you selling in your program? And so some of you might be selling job training, you might be selling social development, you might be selling different things, but I would offer that maybe what you're selling is a better future. And that sounds like a lot of blue sky, but really what's going to motivate a person to change their life? These people currently are not successful to the extent they want to be. And what you're really asking them to do is to change their life, to do things that they might know about, might not know about, but haven't yet been able or motivated to do. So if you're not selling something that's going to change my life, then I'm not sure I'm buying it, because I can get job training sometimes somewhere, but that doesn't always lead to what is it that I want. So there's a legitimate question that any person in your program could ask, which is, well, okay, but what's in it for me? And so I really think that you can go a long way if you're selling people a better future. We can help them achieve a better future for themselves and their family through environmental skills training and certification. This is a path to job and career employment starting in your own community, and it's free. So if you're looking for that pitch, or that elevator speech or those magic words, a lot of them are there, that you are helping them gain, job skills, life skills. They're gaining both training and certification. It's a pathway, and it starts at home, and it's free. Free is a really powerful word when you use to people. And in some cases, you might even be able to support them in certain areas in terms of transportation or helping them through some level of compensation while they're going to training. But you also have to level with them that it won't be easy, and that there's commitments that they have to make, and there's things that they have to do. So this isn't a one-way street, golden ticket, it's your lucky day. They have to work, and they have to want to work, and they have to understand what they're agreeing to do. The next big piece is the target audience. And so each of you is in a different environment, a different zip code, a different neighborhood, all that. But who are you selling your program to? Who is this target audience? And so to understand and identify the gender, the age, the race, the economic status, the social condition, the geographic location, and the culture of the people you're dealing with is key. If you don't understand them, if you don't know them, you're not going to be able to reach them, either through recruitment or reach them in your programs. And so it's very important that you understand, what this target audience is. And if you just say, well, it's everybody who needs a job or everyone who's underserved, that's not a target, and so it's hard to hit a target, or it's hard to hit what you're aiming for if you don't have something specifically that you're aiming for. And the more defined that the target audience is, the better able you'll be able to craft the appropriate messages, select the influencers, and effectively manage the communication modalities. That is, what type of media do these people represent? You could have a great TV ad, but if none of your people look at TV or where your ad is, it's not going to do you any good. So, you have to understand, where is your target audience? Where do they live? Where do they worship and eat? What places do they frequent? Where do they hang out? And so, understanding them, understanding their life and their world is really key to reaching them. Who are their influencers? Who do they go to, or who do they listen to? Is it family? Is it friends? Are there counselors? Is it local heroes? Who are the people that, people go to in that community for advice, or who, when they say something, people actually listen? And who are your partners and evangelists? So there might be other partnering agencies or institutions or local government, your job development agencies, intervention groups. These are all people who can say, hey, there's this place, there's this program, and to steal from another program, Hope has an address. There's this place you can go and you can get what you need to get on a better path. And so this understanding, this target audience, who they are, where they live, their background, their culture, is it the barber shop? Is it, they don't go to Starbucks, or maybe they go to Dunkin', where do they worship? Are you in touch with the faith community and other local communities? How do you reach them? Is it the hairdresser? And so, you have to just kind of figure out, where are they? Where will they see that flyer or that brochure or that poster or hear that message? And then finally, in crafting the core message, your offer should be succinct and specific to your audience. So what works in one community might not work in another. You should network with each other, go out to the website, for HMTRI, look at what other people are doing, but you need to tailor it to your audience and your community. You should identify what the prospect has to gain. So what's in it for them? Think of it from their point of view. You need to articulate what they have to do. So what are those things they have to do? Commit for 4 to 6 weeks, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, show up at a certain address, maybe become drug-free or other things. You need to identify the next steps in the process. If you're interested in this, you need to talk to us, and maybe you have a multi-step sort of interview process where they learn about you and you learn about them. And you should not overpromise or oversell the proposal. There's nothing worse than promising, golden ticket, blue sky, new Lincoln Continental, and then not delivering on that. Because that will cause you more grief and that will damage your reputation more in that community and with those prospects than almost anything else. So do what you say you're going to do. If you can get them assistance in transportation or in giving them lunch or in giving them a training stipend, great, do it, but don't oversell it. If you can help them find a job, we can help you, but if you can't guarantee the job, don't guarantee it. Keep the wage, ceilings in mind, keep whether or not the job has benefits in mind, and knowing your local community and your employers, is this a job or is this a career? So if you're working projects that need workers, but the project is only going to be there 6 months, understand that and be upfront about that. Because they're going to go through a lot. They're going to change their life to go through this program. And so you need to be clear on what the program and the opportunity really delivers. And the core messages should be consistent throughout your communications. So whether it's that first flyer or transit sign, or whether it's the radio blurb, or whether it's the announcement at the local church, or whether it's through an agency, you need to have consistent information in all of those communications. And that way it just works in terms of building on the message, building on the information, because they're not going to get it and not going to get it all the first time. Next slide, please. And engaging the prospective participants, the most important component of community engagement is buy-in from the prospective student population. So they have to buy what you're selling. They have to be almost more excited about it than you are in terms of their ability. And you have to keep encouraging them so they can sustain their participation throughout the multiple weeks that they're going through this training. And the training might not just be yours. Those other areas in terms of life skills and financial literacy and all of those aren't coming out of the EPA grant. They're coming out of other partners and other grants and other agencies. So you really need to look at that whole package. Your prospective participants and their families and many in the community will be unfamiliar to the world of environmental technology and remediation. So it's a little bit like learning a foreign language. You have to not only familiarize them with these terms, but with the concept of what these opportunities are in terms of what is the actual job offering, or what is it that they're going to be doing, because most people don't really have an idea of, well, what do you mean by an environmental career or a brownfield job or a brownfield cleanup job? So it's again important that you understand that, and they'll need that basic understanding about the careers and the training program, what to expect and how to apply for that. The grantees have used a combination of print, local TV, radio, public meetings, and social media to deliver their message. And again, all of these work in different ways in different places. So there's not one right answer, but you have to meet your community where it is. So if your prospective people do social media, great, do social media. If they don't, then it may not be as useful as face-to-face and going out and talking to influencers and going out and being where they are in the community. So we looked at Santa Fe Community College, one of many successful programs, and here are talking points that they use when they're discussing their community engagement related to educating and recruiting their prospective participants about brownfield job training programs. So I'm not going to do you the disservice of reading it to you. You can read, but again, we'll be revisiting this issue and becoming much more specific, in terms of applications and how you might reach some of these target media. But the main thing is you have to connect where your prospective people are. And as Mike said up front, you have to get the strongest, quote, most worthy people into your program, because ultimately that's how your program lives or dies. And even if you run a successful program for years, if you start punching out a less than quality product, that's going to impact you negatively, and it's a long time to recover trust. So again, if there's any questions, and we will be revisiting this in other PLCs and at the workshops, but I can entertain those questions. Or have I killed everybody?
I think, does someone have a question? I think if there is a message that takeaway from today's meeting is be extremely careful on your recruitment class. Be very, very discerning on who comes in. If you don't feel comfortable with them, keep on going. Even if your class isn't filled. I think one of the things that John pointed out that's really an interesting strategy is he keeps his intake open. So his strategy is let's provide life skills early on. So we're going to be doing life skills training, and we're going to keep it open. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Is someone might get in the program and tell a friend of his who may be on the fence that, hey, this is pretty good. You could maybe get into this program if you get in there right away. And I think that's a great strategy for pulling people in as you go along. John, do you, now you've got other programs like construction. Do you pull people away from those and say, okay, you've got construction, now you could have environmental. This is an advantage of multiple training programs. Does that ever happen, or do they just go in for construction and that's it?
I think it depends, and Bina, please feel free to weigh in. So it depends on like the funding. So if an individual is placed into a specific program and they start and they complete it, at times they can't enter another program dependent on a funding partner. But also, if someone enters a program and they do not treat it with full fidelity, then it's less likely that we would recommend them for a similar program with the same team. If their reasons for having to step back are valid, we may recommend them for a different type of training. Bina, I don't know if you have another perspective that you've noticed.
So since I've been here, this is going to be my first environmental remediation class coming up soon. But in the past, I think they did one construction and ERT together.
Interaction or an appearance.
Sorry.
Yeah, Bina, that's not you. I think the person present, whoever's on your iPhone, you're not muted. So I think there's some stuff. Thank you, iPhone. Bina, I think you should be okay now.
Thank you. So last time we ran construction and ERT together, which was successful. So they get everything, all certificates, including the asbestos and I forgot the other one, confined space and OSHA 30. So those three together is a good certification for people to go into. They can go into construction and environmental remediation. So recently I met with one of the employers. So when I did the research, it's a construction company, but it's more based on a remediation actually. So it helps both ways.
I think,
but in the future, I can hear you, John.
I think what Bina is saying is if they are similar training pathways and similar training partners, we can actually combine the classes and make sure that the individuals get 2 different levels of certifications, so that we can actually ensure that their like employability prospects rise.
And that's a great strategy. I could see someone going through your construction program and saying, I'd like to get into lead paint removal and with HAZWOP, because I think I can get some good jobs there, working for a school or something. I could see where that's a good matchup if you could pull him into this other program.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that part. Actually, if they're already in a construction program, they completed that, they won't be able to enter the ERT program for another year if they're consistent with us. So we are not switching students between construction or ERT. Okay.
I think Nolan had a really good point of whatever flyer you come up with, or whatever, even if you've got a handwritten sign with tear off tabs, if you're going for a diverse starting class, consider going to the laundromat. Who are you going to see at the laundromat? You may see people that is exactly the people you're going for in your program. You're not necessarily going to be going to a Starbucks. You're going to be going to the laundromat. So you may be going to the unemployment office, wherever you can. If you're going to use print media or posters, I think that point that Nolan made is excellent. You go where your prospective students are going to be, and that's where you want to recruit them. And you want to pull them in. We have not talked yet about the actual recruiting process, which we'll talk about next week. Of, do you do orientation nights? Do you do? We'll talk about all of that later. But this is about let's get as many people to want to apply to your program as possible. And if you do nothing else in these early weeks of I call it pre-recruitment, focus on this. You want to have to turn away people. You want to have to bring it down. And you could always put people in the next cohort, but you want to have as many people applying and as interested and as much buzz as you could possibly have going into the program. And in some economies that's easy, some economies it's more difficult. It might be more difficult now because of competition with other jobs and people. But it's again, you really want to push for having as many people apply as possible.
And in that process, again, work with your potential employers to make sure you understand not just their needs, but also their concerns. Because if you're placing people that they are normally not hiring or not used to hiring, then they have concerns besides just the technical job skill needs. And you want to make sure that you understand what those are and you can address them or mitigate them, where possible.
Anything else? Okay. Well, we will meet again in 2 weeks, and we'll be discussing this some more. We're going to dig a little deeper into this whole. Now that you've got lots of people who are kind of interested in your program, what do we do next to make this the best class you have going into your training? Anything else?
John, thank you, and Bina for sharing today.
Thank you, John. You've got a great program, and you've got a rich history, and you made it through some rough times. So congratulations.
Thanks, Mike and Stephen and Nolan and everyone. We have a really good team here.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good couple of weeks.
Stay well. Stay healthy.
Be well, everybody.
Okay.